All you really need to know about food safety, a video created by Suzanne Van't Haaff for PID 3240 digital project assignment.
The best way to limit and avoid foodborne illness is control the amount of time that food is left in the danger zone. 2 accumulated hours is the longest that food should remain out. The danger zone is a temperature, using Celsius, between 4 degrees and 60 degrees. Bacteria multiply best between these temperatures. Bacteria multiply very rapidly at 37 degrees, or body temperature. Between the temperatures of 74 degrees, cooking temperature, and 100 degrees, toxins and spores will not die, whereas most bacteria cannot survive. Freezing is 0 degrees Celsius to minus 18 degrees. Bacteria can survive, but it will not grow. Every 20 minutes, bacteria can double if the temperature is in the danger zone. When food is left in the danger zone, 4 degrees to 60 degrees, for more than 2 hours, bacteria multiply quickly and food can become contaminated. Starting with just 1, bacteria can multiply quickly, and by 8 hours, at the ideal temperature, there can be over 33 million bacteria on your food. In fact, given the correct circumstances, a supergerm will appear. Our bodies can handle a little bacteria, but too much is too much. Food poisoning can occur and can cause symptoms such as stomach cramps, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. How can you protect yourself, your friends, and your family? Just follow some simple safety rules. Observe time and temperature control by keeping food out of the temperature danger zone. How can we do this? Keep your fridge at 4 degrees Celsius and your freezer at minus 18. Cook all food to above 74 degrees and do not let food sit out longer than 2 accumulated hours. Always cook foods to an internal temperature of over 74 degrees. Use a thermometer to check the temperature of your food. It is the only safe way. Place the thermometer into the thickest part of the food. Avoid touching bone or the pan and ensure that the correct temperature has been reached, or continue cooking and then check again. Foods are properly cooked when they are heated to a high enough temperature to kill harmful bacteria that can cause illness. Here are some examples of proper food product internal temperatures. Pork, 71 degrees. Poultry, 74 degrees. Beef roasts and steaks, 62 degrees, and ground beef is 71 degrees. Safest of all is to be at 74 degrees. Cook eggs until the yolk and white are firm and not runny. Avoid recipes where eggs are left raw or partially cooked, and always bring gravies and sauces to a full boil when reheating. When microwaving, ensure that there are no cold spots left in the food. Cover the food while it is cooking, stir and rotate at least twice during the cycle. Do not partially cook food. In your refrigerator, always store raw meats below ready-to-eat foods. Put them on a tray to stop drips. Check your fridge temperature with a thermometer. It should be below 4 degrees and your freezer should be below minus 18. Improper cooling is one of the leading causes of foodborne illness. Cool foods in the following way. Do not leave food to cool in the danger zone for more than 2 hours. When saving cooked foods, divide larger items into smaller quantities. Cool in an ice bath to bring temperature down quickly. Place the item in the fridge or freezer within 2 hours. Do not put it in the cooler while it is still hot, as it will heat up the rest of the fridge and the food and can put all of your food at risk. When reheating foods, cooking does not kill all harmful bacteria. The bacteria can grow rapidly when the food is cooling and being reheated. Reheat food to at least 74 degrees. If you do not use it after the reheat, throw it away. Bacteria try to protect themselves by growing a hard shell called a spore when temperatures are not good for them. Out of the danger zone, these spores do not die from cooking or even freezing. To defrost food safely, do not thaw on the counter or under running water. Defrost in the refrigerator. If you thaw in the microwave, always cook the food completely. Do not refreeze foods unless you have completed a cooking step with them first. For example, if you were to remove ground beef from the freezer and defrost it in your refrigerator, and then decide that you will not use it, you can cook it off and refreeze it to use again another time. But you cannot just put the beef away without cooking it first. How do bacteria and germs get into your system to get you sick? Known as the cycle of transmission, they travel from the food handler through their skin, nose, hair, hands, or clothing, or the environment, work surfaces, utensils, insects, air, to the food. Some foods naturally have bacteria, for example poultry, which has salmonella. If handled properly, it will not develop enough to make you sick. Bacteria can also travel through direct transmission, for example, from an infected wound, if uncovered on a hand, to the food that is being prepared. Bacteria can be transferred to food in a number of ways, including food handlers and customers carrying disease organisms from open wounds, the intestinal tract through hands soiled with feces, or the respiratory tract through coughing and sneezing. The food is then consumed and illness can occur. While preparing foods, if you cough or sneeze, lick your fingers, bite your nails, smoke, touch your face, hair, nose, eyes, or mouth, eat or drink, your hands will be contaminated. What can you do to stop contamination? Number 1, the most important rule is wash your hands. How do you wash your hands? Use a designated hand washing sink, not the same sink as you use to prepare your fruits and vegetables, etc. Use warm running water, plain soap, and rub your hands together vigorously for 30 seconds. Sing happy birthday to yourself twice. Pay special attention to spaces between your fingers, fingernails, and around jewelry such as rings. Rinse your hands with the water running downwards, wrist to fingertips. Dry your hands with a clean towel. When should you wash your hands? After handling cash, soiled objects, garbage, or even tying your shoes, touching or scratching your body, talking on the phone, smoking, or using toothpicks, eating or drinking, or using the toilet, handling raw foods, basically any time that your hands could be contaminated. Remember, cross-contamination, a leading cause of foodborne illness in the transfer of harmful bacteria from people, from food, to food, or from the surface to food. It can be reduced by separating foods such as raw meat, poultry, and seafood, and sanitizing or using clean chopping boards and knives when changing from raw foods to ready-to-eat foods, such as lettuce or tomatoes. Here is an example of cross-contamination. Getting ready to make chicken piquant for a dinner party, Josh spills some raw poultry juice over the counter. After putting the chicken in the fridge to marinate, he wipes the counter with a damp dishcloth hanging from the faucet. Then he cuts a head of lettuce and prepares a salad to go along with dinner on the counter. Josh runs the risk of making his guests sick. Even though the counter looked clean, bacteria from the poultry was present and may transfer to the ready-to-eat salad. How can we avoid foodborne illness? Never put cooked food onto a plate that has held raw meat. Wash cutting boards, knives, and counters with hot soapy water and sanitize them with a bleach solution. After handling raw meat products, try having a different cutting board for raw and cooked foods. And remember to clean and sanitize all raw food juices using a bleach solution. Store raw meats on the bottom shelf of your fridge on a tray to prevent drips. Separate raw meats, poultry, and seafood from ready-to-eat foods. Always wash fruits and vegetables before eating. Don't be a double dipper. When taste testing, use a clean spoon each time or use 2 spoons, one to dip in the food and one to taste. That way you can adjust your seasoning and taste test as much as you need to. When handling foods, clean and sanitize as you go along. Work surfaces, utensils, cutting boards, counters, knives. Use hot water, soap, and for added safety, use a mild sanitizing bleach solution of 15 milliliters bleach to 4 liters of water. Again, that sanitizer is 15 milliliters of bleach to 4 liters of water. Use utensils when handling food, not your bare hands. Gloves are not foolproof. They can become contaminated too. Change gloves regularly, just the same as you would wash your hands, anytime they become contaminated. Washing hands more often is safer than using gloves. When cooking or preparing foods, wash hands often, tie up long hair, and wear clean clothes or an apron. Keep your area and dishes clean. Clean up as you work. And last, but certainly not least, do not take chances with your health or even your life. Remember, contaminated foods may not look or smell bad. If in doubt, throw it out. If you follow the food safety rules, you can say farewell to the germ family and all their friends. Stay healthy. Think food safety all of the time and survive the bacteria storm. Thank you to all the references and all of those responsible for the information making this video possible.